Hi, I'm Kelly Wall, and I'm here to talk to you about breath work. And most specifically today, I'd like to focus in on one of the most fierce presence and symbols, the goddess Kalima. Kalima is the goddess in Hindu culture that is referred to sometimes as the Dark Mother or the Terrible Mother, and she appears to have black and blue colored skin. She has a sharp red tongue and very white teeth. She wears a skull of necklaces, and she holds a cup and a sword, and sometimes she can be seen without wearing any clothing, or she will have a skirt that appears to be made out of arms. And she is the most fierce entity that there is in Hindu culture. And we can harness her energies because even though she represents destruction, she represents the essence of time. She also represents preservation. And the thing is about her having all of this energy that one would fear her, if we can think about our own mothers in life, and they're put as an authority figure to protect us. And I think about a teenager in adolescence, or maybe even younger, who oh, why does my mom always have to say no, or why is she always telling me what to do? And then my mother's the worst mother in the world. But yet, as we get older and wiser, or perhaps you become a mother, you realize that it takes a lot of strength to stand up and do what's right, not what's going to be most popular. And so Kalima's essence of this destruction is to liberate her children, and that's what the skulls around her neck represent, is the liberation from ego. And people talk a lot about ego, and as humans, I just want to remind you, we are the only species that has an ego. And it could be a very good checkpoint as to keep us in check, for one, so that we don't get arrogant, we don't get the inflated large ego of I've studied this, or I know this, or I've been through this, so let me tell you. And that can be a very condescending attitude, because you're talking in the sense of only serving yourself by showing others or telling others, constantly preaching to others what it is that you know, and that you're the authority of it, or you've conquered this, so you are an expert at it. Where a lot of times people suffer from the small ego, and that's where the check and balance comes into play, is that small ego that constantly tells us, who are you to think you're an expert on that? Or who are you to think that you're a warrior for getting through that? Or who are you to take a compliment and think that you're beautiful or strong or funny or smart? All those things that, ego of fear of not being enough. So, but in that system of big ego and small ego, it keeps us in check of not getting too high, but also taking a small victory or a celebration of saying, you know what? Yeah, I do like who I am, but don't get too. I had a professor that once told me, too much of anything is not good. Too little of anything is not good. You want to be right here. And I'll never forget that. What a great visual as well. So the ego is a great check and balance. But a lot of times the too much is too selfish, self-serving. It becomes manipulative and other properties like that. It could be a bully. And then the small ego, it keeps us stagnant out of fear of playing small. So in both aspects, you have to be liberated of that. And that's the energy of Kalima. Also, it's also her attachment to this physical body that we have. This is temporary. And she is also here to remind us of that. Don't get too hung up on attachments. Or a lot of times when I get her as a visual, when I'm doing a reading or, you know, interpreting a situation, it's don't get attached to the result that you're specifically looking for. We get hung up, and that's ego, hung up in doing something but expecting the result on our timeline or in our form. Also, our relationships with others can reflect that as well, where it is definitely we are expecting the person to have the outcome that we would like. So we're kind of controlling their outcome and have certain expectations on our timeline or in our form. And that can lead to a lot of frustration. So Kalima has a lot of rage as well. And that's why she's got red eyes and a red tongue. And she also, when she destroys others, the enemies or the evil forces, or whatever is in our way, she scoops up the blood. She catches the blood of that and drinks from it. And you know, that's a whole nother thing. If you'd like to research Kalima, there was a great battle where she was the one called in to defeat such darkness. I can leave that in the description below. Also, but in her fierceness to do the right thing, it is about doing what needs to be done. It's about liberating yourself from attachments. It's about calling in that inner warrior. So a lot of times I do a Kalima breath, which is all done in the solar plexus and solar plexus, the creativity, the lower chakras here. And I will use this when I need an energy surge of, man, I don't feel like doing something, but I have to, and I have to get through the day, you know, that mid-afternoon lull, or just especially driving. I will drive and I will be upset about, you know, how I have to do this, or I'm late because I'm always late, and etc., etc. So I harness this breath and I breathe it in through the nostrils and out through the mouth, but it's a forceful breath, and it really starts to tingle and raise all the chakras and raise your vibration to harness this fierce, you know, from the root, that Kalima energy, and push it out so that you can get that fire element going. And right now we're in Aries season. You know, Aries, the sign in the sun right now, and we just had the new moon in Aries, and we are in the waxing moon, which is calling us to do our part. So there are times when we don't feel like doing our part, but you know the big picture of your goal of where you want to get to or who you want to help, whether it be others, your children, or yourself, or people at work, etc. So you have to harness some energy and get yourself going. So breath work is wonderful. It can be used to calm the nervous system, but it can also be used to embrace what we need to get through. And a lot of times when we get that rage energy and everything, where we feel as though I just want to hit something or scream in a pillow, which may I recommend a Primal Scream, does wonders. And a lot of times, again, I'll be in my car, I'll turn up the radio, I'll put down all the windows, open the sunroof, and I prefer to drive fast, so I'll be on the thruway, and I just finally think about all the things that are frustrating me and that I cannot change, that I cannot control. Control is the big issue, the underlying issue behind all of these feelings of rage, resentment, hurt, etc. And I get that all out, and I just, you know, scream as loud as I can and as long as I can. And I'm not going to offend anybody because I'm driving. So also with this now back to Kalima breath work. And it is not breath of fire, if you're familiar with Kundalini or any yoga practice that emphasizes the breath of fire. This is slightly a different variation. So the Kalima, again, is I like to take a good stance. I like to keep my legs, you know, at least shoulder width apart, really harness my earthing energy, my root chakras, the sacral chakra up to the solar plexus. I like to take it all in, get that fierce energy that it's almost like a toxicity that you already have inside of you, and you're breathing it in And then you're pushing it out, but you're also pushing out and putting your stomach inward and pushing out your extremities. So it's a, and yes, the is the noise you want to go for. You know, Kalima is represented by riding on a lion. So it's, again, this lioness energy, and you're going to push out your breath. So you know, you push it out. Wrong shirt to be wearing showing this, but you get the concept. And you want to breathe it in again through the nostrils, harness that, and push out. And yeah, make the face. Really get into character with this breath and make the noise. Now, when I'm doing this, you do it in a sequence. I like to do it 10 times in repetition, and my breath or sound will get louder because we start to feel a little bit more comfortable with doing it, because of course the first time you do something you feel a little awkward, maybe a little shy or embarrassed, even if it is just with yourself. That's natural, that's ego. So we are going to do a repetitive 10 of this breath work and really get into character and imbibe all of the toxicity that is around you, that you feel as though you're swimming in, that you're stuck inside of. Even just stagnant energy is what causes us to feel lethargic or just like, oh, I don't want to do anything except take a nap. But we don't have that choice. Kalima says you have to go forth. Be this fierce warrior. So, all right, join me. Where we start to think of it, start with the rhythm of your own breath. Start to get your stomach and your solar plexus in the tune of going in and out in a more forcible manner, because we constantly only breathe up here into our head and chest space. So we're filling up our belly and our diaphragm. Okay, we're going to take it all in, and I'm just going to go, and we're going to do the 10 count in repetition. I am not going to stop. I am not going to hold it. You have to do it with me, where we breathe in, we hold it, and we force it out. Okay, so here we go. Woo! Yeah, now I feel like I can take on the world. I am in my super pose here, and I am ready. I got rid of what has been stagnant or weighing me down or making me feel stuck. And I'm gonna go forward now with a little bit more energy, because I reignited all of that fierce harness energy by calling upon the dark mother that is necessary in times to do what we've got to do. So thank you, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed this, and best wishes in your wellness.